finally, we're recording. I tell you, we have so much technical difficulties, but hey, this platform is free and, well, whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, I am JDUBBS. This is JK'z Rewatchable Hour. As you can see, we have Mr. Eric Evans. We have an incredible guest. How you doing today, Eric? Sorry, just got way ahead of myself.
Yeah, I'm doing good, Jeff. How you doing?
I am doing great. Thank you. I apologize for that. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an incredible show. As you can tell, he's kind of mysterious there. Just some bad lighting, but all the way from UK, we have Mr. Jordan, and this is no strings attached. Jordan, how are you doing, sir?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Hope you're doing well too, my friend, and thank you for having me on, gents.
Absolutely. So you had reached out to JK'z Rewatchable Hour, and you wanted to tell your story. You said there are some things that you want to share. So just keeping with the way the show goes, this is just where I hand it off to you, and the show is yours, sir.
Thank you very much. So, hi, gents. Hi, everyone that's listening. So I'm Jordan. I'm 27. I'm from the UK. I'm from near London, so in a county or state called Essex. And today I'm going to bring my story to you to hopefully inspire and hopefully raise awareness, and just to be like an open book as I best possibly can, really, to give you a story of my life so far. Now, you may think at 27, well, I'm still young. There's not really much to tell. But in all fairness with you gents, it's been a bit of a roller coaster over the years. And I've had to try and deal with a lot of adversities along the way. So I'll be sharing about these adversities with you both and the audience. And of course, feel free if there's any questions that you want to ask in this while we're talking. So basically, just a bit of background about myself is that when I was growing up, I used to live with my mum, Angela, used to live with my brother, Terry. My mum and dad unfortunately separated at a very young age. So obviously that was a very difficult challenge in itself, not having my dad there. But I always had my grandparents near, and they was very supportive. So I had my grandmother, my grandfather, and yeah, fantastic, really. My brother, now where I live in Tiptree, sorry, jumped down a bit, but with now I live at home with my mum still and with my grandparents now all together. My brother's moved out. He lives a couple of hours away from me, but I'm a proud uncle to 2 nephews now. So that gives me good responsibility. I had a lot of health complaints when I was younger, which I'll go on to in a bit. I'm a big, as you say in States, I'm a big soccer fan, and I've been, well, since a very young age, really. My mum wasn't really into football at all, or soccer. So if I say football, do you mind what would you rather say, football or soccer, gents?
Doesn't matter. Either
Yeah.
So
we get it.
No problem, thank you. So my mum wasn't into football, my brother wasn't either, really. It was my grandfather himself that got me into football. And I'm a big, I don't know if you've heard of them over in the States, but Tottenham Hotspur supporter. Much to my sins, maybe, because they give me a lot of stress supporting them every week. But let's go in with the flow. So when I was younger, I was born with a condition called dyspraxia. I mean, do you know what that condition is, gents, at all?
I do not.
No.
So dyspraxia, it's where it affects your motor coordination. And the motor coordination elements include like doing simple things, maybe you could argue like tying your shoelaces, because it's a hand and eye coordination. So tying shoelaces, one example. I struggled in school, in terms of schoolwork and everything like that. I struggled with my handwriting. When I was a kid, I was delayed because it's a delayed development disorder. So I was delayed with my talking. I was delayed with my walking. It was, yeah, I can't remember too much on them, obviously being so young. But over in the UK, it's referred to something that I find quite stigmatizing. It's called and referred to as clumsy child syndrome. And I find that just, yeah, in itself, very dismissive, if you like, because everyone has different needs and everyone should be supported in their needs regardless, like, you know, instead of being labelled that with clumsy child syndrome. Of course, though I'm 27 now, another big tall order of mine I've not even attempted at the moment is to drive a car because of the gears that come with it and changing and keeping mindful of what's on the road, etc. I feel that would be a bit overwhelming, if you like. So, unfortunately, with this condition, though it's lifelong, the good thing from it is you find ways how to adapt around it. You find ways to cope. I've done that to the best of my ability over my life. But there's a lot of the UK's population here that I've got noted down that in 2020 alone, 6% of the UK's population was found to be dyspraxic.
Really?
Which is quite a big percentage, really, in the grand scheme of things. But another downside to that, though, is it can be left undiagnosed for so many years as well. So there could be people that's out there that's got it, but they don't know that they've got it, and they've been struggling all their years, like in school and so forth, as we've just mentioned. So, as I say, I've mentioned about some of the adversities that's come with that, but I hope that gives you an insight to what dyspraxia involves, really.
Right.
Yeah.
So, is there anything you want to ask on that, JK'z? Or
I just, you may say it later, but do they have an idea what caused it? Is it genetic or something, or does your parents have it, or your grandparents, or anything like that, or you just happen to get it, or?
that's a good question. I mean, to be honest with you, as far as I'm aware, I don't think it is genetic. No, I don't think it is genetic in answer to that, really. I was just unfortunate to be born with it. Whether there's risk factors that come in with that through, I suppose, birth or anything like that, again, I'm not too sure. But yeah, it's quite scary because, I mean, though I've been around a lot of different people in my life and that's had other disabilities such as dyslexia or autism, ADHD, and so on and so forth, I've not known anyone else really that's got dyspraxia. So it's quite an isolating condition as well, if you know what I mean, because it don't seem like there's enough support out there. One of the things we had over here in the UK was called the Dyspraxia Foundation. And that used to give you resources, how to manage, how to deal with things, going into work environments, etc., how to adjust work settings if needed, etc. But unfortunately, during COVID, they had to shut that down, which isn't ideal again, really, because you've not got that as a source now. So you're going to have to look onto online forums or Facebook pages or anything like that to see if there's any support out there, really. And I suppose you've got to have the balls, if you like, to find that as well, like see if there is anything. Because, you know, I used to feel that because I had that condition, I didn't want to speak about it too much because I was afraid of what other people might think, you know, because of that label of clumsy child syndrome, etc., you know.
Sure. Yep.
So, yeah. But in answer to your question, yeah, I don't think it is genetic.
Okay.
So yeah. But school, if we're going on to school, I mean, this is it. I don't know what it's like over in the US if it's understood more over there or anything like that, but I'll be intrigued to know. You know, it's throughout school, it was a bit of a weird one. And when you're in like infant school, we call it over here. So that would be from ages 5 to 10, if you like.
Mm.
There was some teachers that understood my situation, and there were some teachers that didn't understand my situation. And you'd think one of the main people in your life that would expect to understand would be your teachers, I suppose, because
Right.
they're supporting you in everyday life.
Exactly.
I mean, reception, I remember there was one time that, so when I was 3 or 4, as well as dyspraxia, I was in hospital. I had to have an operation. I had to have a double hernia done, and a huge cyst removed from down below. Which again, at that age, you're vulnerable anyway.
How old were you? 6 years old?
No, I was 3 going on 4 when that happened.
Really? Wow.
Wow.
That's really young for a hernia.
Yeah, so I can't remember too much what happened with that in terms of pain levels, but I was sent to Great Ormond Street, which is one of the leading hospitals in the UK here for children. And Mum said that they was always very good with me. But I remember that when I gone into school, it was really awkward because, for starters, for this dyspraxia element, like I felt like I was falling behind with my peers because I started off a year later because of the operation. So I wasn't mixing straight away. And everyone else was doing things that I wanted to do. And there's one memory that does stand out, again, when I was about, 5, I would say, that there was this kid that was in my class and he come up to me, and obviously, he wouldn't know that I've had an operation so short beforehand. But he was like saying to me, as you do at that age, "Oh, come and play with me. Like, come and run with me. Come and,
Right.
chase me, that game,
Right. But you're
And,
able to do that, right? They don't understand it because you can't run or you can't walk right or
exactly that, Eric. And but in the end, it was like teaching you of the situation, and the student or kid was still coming up to me and saying, "Come on, chase me." And I was like, "No, no, no." And that was all my words that I could give was yes or no because of limited
Yeah.
vocabulary.
Hmm.
And in the end, because that peer pressure creeps in at such an early age, I was like, to my mind, I'll sod it. I'm going to do it. Like, I shouldn't really.
All right.
And I was running to chase, and because of the clumsiness, if you like, with dyspraxia, so I tripped over, but I stepped on the back of his heel, and he went flying. And then I had the teacher in the background shouting, "Jordan,
Right.
we told you not to run,"
Yeah.
I was
Right.
like, "God," So that made me feel like awkward because after that incident, no other student wanted to come up to me because they thought I was just a injury prone or disaster, if you like,
Yeah.
in that respect
Right.
at such an early age. So that was
Did you
early
have
age
to
stuff.
did you have to wear braces or anything on your legs or your feet or anything to keep your feet straight or to keep them in line, or was it no, just shoes you wore?
Yeah, just me as I was, really. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
And to be fair, that would have been a good aid, if you like, to have supported me, you know. But no, there was nothing like that. In a sense, I was just left to fend for myself, really.
Really?
So yeah, that was that year. There was the following year that I was about 6, and there was a teacher that did understand, and she was golden in a sense that, so for example, because I wasn't hanging around with my peers, because I was still shy going outside and everything like that, she used to say to me, "Okay, well, let's do some work to try and help your coordination." So it might have been, I don't know, holding a pencil and a ruler together to try and draw a line on a piece of paper, for example, or she was trying to teach me even shoelaces then, like, or doing buttons up on a model shirt she had. So it was getting for dexterity and the coordination for me getting used to it, and she was absolutely golden, gents. She really was. Like, she understood everything. And I didn't want to leave her yet, but obviously you have to when you move on to a different teacher.
Right.
So skipping forward a few years, going into year 4, a little bit of I find it funny, but because of my pronunciation, I had a teacher called Mrs. McGuana, right? I couldn't pronounce her as Mrs. McGuana. I used to pronounce her as Mrs. Marijuana. So it was like, you know, everyone was, they didn't know, but I was like, I didn't even know that that was such a thing then, obviously. But I come out with Mrs. Marijuana, I need some help, please. Like, So yeah, I look on it in light-hearted aspects on that front. But then this is, I suppose, again, disclaimer that this is quite a trigger. But year 6, so I was 10, my last year before going into like high school. It was difficult for me. I had a teacher that was a New Zealand fella, strong accent, and I remember for where for classes were being announced what teacher who had who and that. I said to my mate, like that was next to me, I went, I don't want him. I was like shaking, because he used to shout. You could hear him from other classrooms that he was in, like,
Wow.
he used to project his voice unnecessarily at times, I would say. And I was like, mate, I don't want him. And his name got called out first because it was A. So I thought, I was like, I felt sorry for him, because he was scared as well. And then it was getting towards the end. I thought, I might get away with this. And because my surname is S, it was like Stringer. I thought, it was, I was sort of dreading it, really.
Yeah.
So I've gone into for playground after that, and there was the current year that's in there with him before going in for an induction day, and they said, "Oh, who you got for your teacher for that year?" And I went, "Oh, it's this teacher, blah blah blah." I was like, "Oh, all he does is shout, and everything like that, And do you like shouting?" I went, "No," like that, I was sort of bracing myself, really. So I'd gone into that induction day, and I'll be honest, gents, I think from the first step I took into that classroom on the induction day, he knew he found a vulnerability in himself. Because I was the quietest in the class, he picked up on that, which I look back now, and if you wish you could turn back the clock, wish I could have spoken up for myself more, maybe, yes. But I didn't have the bottle or confidence to do that when I was younger. I felt that whoever your teacher was, you had to respect them. So yeah, that first day, and the first thing he said to me was, "Well, you're quiet then." And I was like, "Yes." Right. So, "Why are you quiet? Everyone else is talking. Why are you quiet?" I said, and I just shrugged my shoulders like that. So in the end, it was just like little snippets in that first induction day where he was picking up on little things and things that I struggled with,
Right.
And he was just chipping away on that first day, and I knew for the rest of that year would have been hell. So as I have described it to other audiences, it's like when I've gone through them gates of school on a school day, those big iron metal bars, and it felt like he was going into prison. Because you felt scared, you felt intimidated. It always seemed like it was a dark and miserable day, that it was pissing down with rain every day as well, So, but it was like little, as I say, over years, it was really difficult. And as I say, this is where I suppose it's a bit sensitive, but he knew that I had dyspraxia, but he used to, as I say, bully me for it, really. There's no other word for it. So there was one time that I had a piece of art homework. I couldn't do it because I was trying to guide the pencil on the paper and try and do the drawing. It was just going everywhere. My mum was trying to help guide me with the homework, with pencil and everything like that. We were spent hours, and I was just struggling, and it was getting me more and more down, if you like, because I couldn't do it. you know.
So your arm was kind of like just moving all over the place, and you couldn't control it.
Yeah,
You're
absolutely.
okay. Gotcha. Okay.
So in the end, she wrote a letter to my teacher saying, like, along the lines of, Jordan was up quite a while. We was trying to do homework together, no joy. It reiterated the struggles with the dyspraxia element and everything like that, just so you're aware. Maybe you could go through it with him. She put in letter or whatever. Just a bit of teacher support, like, you know.
Right.
So obviously, Mum understood, which was great. But when I went in that following day, everyone, like, it was going down for register with, again, for names, and everyone was handing their homework in, and I was towards the end, and he called my name, and he always used to call me, not by Jordan, he always used to say it again, Stringer, like, you
Ringer?
know, yeah, by my surname. And he called everyone else by their first name, but me, my surname all the time, like I was a naughty child, like, you know. So I went to, excuse me, I went to hand him the letter, and he looked at the letter like that, and I still remember it to this day, gents, as clear as anything. He started reading the letter in front of the whole class in a sarcastic tone,
Wow.
and he went, "Oh dear, everyone, Jordan's pulling Mummy by the apron strings again."
What?
Yeah, in front of the whole class, and because they're young kids as well,
Oh, right, but
they pick up on it, and they was laughing with the teacher,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And there was me, like, and I was getting quite upset, and he said, "Oh, you off crying again? No surprise there, then. That's all you do all the time, you know. You're always upset. You're always crying, and again, right in front of the whole class, you know.
Right.
Pull up your big boy pants, like, you know." And that really made me feel vulnerable, like, you know, because I was thinking, again, I'm going into high school next year, you know. I was shitting it, I suppose, going into that year because of how he was. Another instance that I had with him was doing, like, rounders. Do you call it rounders over in US? Like, it's like softball, sort of. So it's like you hit it with a bat.
Oh,
So
okay.
Yeah, we call it baseball or softball.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it was similar to that, really. And I remember that someone hit the ball or whatever, and it was coming in towards my direction. And I was thinking, right, I've got to try and catch this. Like, in my mind, I was already sort of at that age thinking, I need to prove a point. I want to catch this ball, like, you know. So I went go and catch it, and because again I couldn't catch like that, how you meant to, my hands were going like that, and they were shaking because I was getting really agitated, and I was getting all over the place.
Yeah.
So I went to catch it, and it gone like that, and it went brushed past my hand, like, and he went again. "Oh dear," again in front of the whole class. "Jordan still can't catch a ball.
Wow.
10-year-old can't catch a ball. This is disgusting. You know, everyone else can catch a ball, Jordan. Why can't you?"
Why don't you teach me how?
So wrong.
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah.
it was horrible, if you like, but I was going through the motions, if you like, through that year, but I didn't confide into my mum during that time because I knew she would have gone up there and pretty much tried to knock him out, maybe.
Right. I bet. Yeah.
You know, protective mum and everything. And it was getting to the stage that when the same symptoms were going, that's wrong, sorry. But I was getting more anxious. I was yeah, I was becoming more of a shell of myself. And it took one day where I'd gone into the class again, start of the day, I was late, and I was always late, you know, because I just didn't want to be there.
Right.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, whatever in the end. And I was going, like I say, going through emotions. I'd gone into class and he said, "You're late again." No surprise there. So I went, "Yeah, sorry." And he went, "Well, your previous year's teacher wants to see you." So I went, "What now?" And he went, yes, now, and hurry up because lessons start shortly. So I went down to that previous year teacher, and she was one of the good ones again. And she said, right, so for previous night of that day, it was Tottenham Hotspur's 125th year anniversary as a soccer club. And she went to that game. She knew I was a big Tottenham fan.
Mhm.
And she got me a flag to remember for night and for the occasion. And she got me a program, something like a brochure. And she said, this is for you, just to say ever so well done for your previous year with me. You was absolutely superb, and I was really proud of your progress. And that made me feel good,
Right. Excellent. Yeah.
And I thought, oh, excellent. I was really happy. And after going in with near on tears, I was coming out feeling obviously elated. And so gone back towards the class. And guess what? That teacher in my current year, it was just standing outside of the classroom door. And he was looking at his watch. And he said, been waiting for you.
Oh, jeepers.
Oh, boy.
And I went, yeah. He said, what you got there then? And I just showed him, I held it up like that. I didn't say anything, just held it up. And he went, right, you got to put that in your locker now. You got to put that in your school locker now. You've got 10 seconds to put it in. If you don't put it in 10 seconds time, then I'm going to snap that flag in half.
Wow.
Are you kidding me? Wow.
So it was like, and then he went and you heard him count down. He was like 10, 9, 8. He said, hurry up. I've told you to hurry up. Otherwise, I'm going to snap it. 7, 6. And I was getting more and more panicky, if you like.
Right. Mm-hmm.
5. I said, I can't do it. He said, yes, you can. Pull up your big boy pants. 4, 3. And I just about got it in. He said, right, I'll see you in the classroom then. So I've just gone in the classroom, just sat down to my seat. He went again, right, everyone. Guess what? Guess what Jordan got? He got a flag. He got a brochure.
You got it.
Wow. So, yeah, he went, how comes that Jordan can get this? Why haven't you got one? Why haven't you got one? Why haven't you got one?
Oh, man.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And from my feeling of feeling like elated, it gone straight back down to feeling like shit, you know?
All right. It's too bad you had to go through that. Jeez.
So, yeah, in the end.
Repeatedly. Yeah, I mean, he had to go through that repeatedly with the same person. It's very obvious that he had a grudge against you for absolutely no reason.
Right.
I think this is it. Is I still don't know why to this day, if I'm honest, Jeff. And I think
he obviously didn't have a care. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, what were you going to say, Eric?
Well, it's obvious that he didn't have a care in his body about people with disabilities or people that have trouble that aren't, specifically normal. It's like, if you're not normal, you're not welcomed in our class. If you are, I'm going to pick on you at your cost. And that's just wrong.
I just felt like I was stood out like a sore thumb, really.
Right.
I felt that I was, I suppose outcast, if I could say that. I felt like I was being made to feel like I was the one that was the issue. Because I remember after that flag incident, when he said that in front of class, I remember that I stormed down from class, and where we had in our infant school playground, there was like a swimming pool. We used to have weekly swimming lessons or whatever. I run down by where the swimming pool was, and bearing in mind I was only 10 then, but my head was absolutely mashed, and I'm putting it politely. And I went by the swimming pool. There was no one in there. The swimming tutor was just cleaning around, lighting for changing rooms and that. But I'd gone by the swimming pool and I just went, put my head in the water. And it's like I wanted to drown out everything that was being said to me. And she heard that splash, if you like. She come running out and she shook me and she said, Jordan, tell me what's happened,
Wow.
And I was obviously shaking. I started crying again.
Mhm.
And she said, come on, talk to me. And she, helped get me dry and calm down and everything like that. And I felt then at that age again, I was like, I can't say what's happened, because I felt maybe no one would believe me, because it's a teacher. Student, maybe, yes, but not for teacher,
Mhm.
And it came to that she said, I think you best get back to class. And I've gone back to class, and he said, well, why is your hair all wet and everything like that? And I just didn't say anything, to be honest with you. So I come home that day and I was absolutely distraught. And it was going through a stage where I was meant to have my packed lunches to school and that mum did for me. And I just wasn't eating them because I was so psychologically traumatized that I was either bringing my lunches back, or I was throwing them in the bin, making out that I was eating them, or I was hiding them in places that I didn't think my mum would find,
Mm.
And in the end, it got to a head, and mum said to me, Jordan, what's happening? You're not talking. You're not yourself. And I just was like, no. And I just kept shrugging away. And she cottoned on. She said, you've been bullied. And I went, yes, like that, And she went, right, what student is it that's bullying you? Is it that same kid from before and everything like that? No. And she asked other names. No. And then it just gone silent. And then it was my mind that just went, it's my teacher. I said that to my mum. And she went, your teacher? I went, yes. And then I told her some of the things that had happened. And she arranged a meeting to go up to school for the following day.
Right.
And the head at the time, she said, this is all in Jordan's head.
Oh, Jesus.
I knew
I
you were
don't
going to
believe
say
a
that.
teacher would.
Yeah.
I don't believe a teacher of ours would do that. And in the end, mum said, well, I'll tell you now, put him into a different class, because that's the only way he's going to thrive and get the best of the rest of his schooling here. She said, I'll tell you what, to mum, apparently, I'll go in and observe for a day and see how he is with Jordan.
Okay.
So she went in that day, and of course he was nice as pie to me then, wasn't he? He was,
Of course.
sweet as anything.
Mhm. Yep.
Soon as she went out that door, though, towards the end of the day, back to, and he said, I know it was you. I know it was you that grasped me up.
Made it worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
He said, don't lie to me. And he actually cornered me into a corner when everyone else went to playtime. He said, it was you, wasn't it, that grasped me up?
Hmm.
And
Wow.
I went,
Yeah, that's.
and I tried to say no, no,
Mm.
no. And in the end, he said, I know it was you. And then in the end, it came that actually he was I don't know what he was going to do, but a teacher just came in. And then I just made to make a beeline and run for it back into the playground,
Right. No,
Hmm.
So
you may have said it earlier, but were you the only one in that class that had a disability?
Good question.
there was someone else that had dyslexia, but he was
Okay.
fine with them.
Hmm.
Is
Um,
it, do you think, I don't mean to interrupt you, do you think that would be because the dyslexic part of the other student wasn't easily seen um, as you? I don't mean to say it like that, but
no, I know what you mean. Yeah, I
It's a good
think
question. Mhm.
that's a good question. I don't know, but it seemed like when it came to even say homework, so I always used to thrive and work tirelessly at home to do my spellings every week, my times tables every week. And it was, again, it was with the rest of the class. He said, always used to say to it, for students, like, what's your scores that with marks and everything like that. So I'll make a note of it. Everyone else got a well done. For dyslexic, they'd got a well done. Everyone got a house point or a reward point, if you like, for their hard
Mm.
work. Me, I got a, say, pretty much a near on perfect score. He said, right, okay, and didn't do anything.
Wow.
um,
That's crazy.
I'm just I'm just going to go ahead and just take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with my good friend Eric and our special guest from the UK, Jordan, who is just telling his life story. Before I hand the show back over to you, I just want to just congratulate you on having the strength and the courage to tell. So far, you're just speaking from the heart. You're telling your story. You're trying to raise awareness. I just want to say, I have the utmost respect for you. I don't know what else to say except for you have a tremendous courage right now, and I support you on this.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely.
Eric, anything you want?
I second that too. It takes a lot of strength to go back, to turn the clock back that many years and think of all those those times you struggled with, and to get through it. And it can't be easy, because it wasn't good memories, and it's sad that you had to experience a time of school should be fun, and to learn. And obviously that guy just didn't want you to do that for some reason. And it's sad that, I just had a question that, in that classroom, did they have like a teacher monitor of any type that did help the teachers? Like over here in the States, we have people that, like teachers' aides that go in and help the teachers. And were they
Yeah.
aware of anything going on?
So that was one suggestion that was put forward. We had towards the end a teaching assistant, we call them over here, to be in there in for class that for head put forward, for SENCO, so for special educational needs coordinator of a school, put that forward. And yeah, we had someone go in. But again, I have one memory that stands out from that, Eric, and it was a piece of work that I was struggling with. And I asked her for her help because he wouldn't. And she come over, she was going to help me. And he come over and he said, Jordan can do that. And
Yeah.
she was like, well, I'm going to help him because he needs help and he's asking for help, And yeah, she went, no, I'm going to help Jordan. And in the end, in front of my own eyes, they was having a right tiff, a right argument between them both. And in the end, she stormed out of class.
Yes, it's sad.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Go ahead. Yep. Go ahead and Jordan, just take over the show and continue sharing whatever you want. As you have already found out, you are completely safe and respected by Eric and I can guarantee you that the rest of JK's Rewatchable Hour will also support you. And just continue, please.
Thank you very much. So, yeah, so going into high school, where I was dreading it, in all fairness, high school was complete opposite. That was fantastic. They supported me every step of the way. Every tutor that I had supported me. Whether that was with my work, whether that was for exams towards the latter end of high school, etc., they was really understanding. But I'm going to change the emphasis, but it's sort when I say the emphasis, it's another bit of awareness that I'm going to share with you, gents, and for listeners. So when I was 12 years old, 11, 12 years old, no, late 11, going on 12, yes, I one day decided to go with my mum out for a bike ride, and we went for a nice, and bearing in mind that was another thing that I always used to struggle with, was riding the bike, and I eventually learned how to do it after persevering with it. And yeah, went for a nice bike ride, and I remember coming home that night, I felt really uncomfortable, not right. And my mum said to me, is everything okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Just not feeling all that, that's how I played it, not all that. She said, okay, well, if you have a good night's sleep, you might feel okay tomorrow, all that, like mums do and parents do,
Right.
It came to the following morning, and I woke up and I was in severe, and I mean severe pain down below. And I thought, oh dear, and again, you start to, at that age, understand your body more. but because it's something again so private, I suppose, I felt like I couldn't open up about that, say to my mum, because I'm not saying this in a different way, but because she's a woman and I'm a male, you know what I mean? But
Right.
it
Right.
was quite a sensitive topic, I felt, you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I didn't know how to come about that and open up about that.
Mhm.
And I was just going by, and in the end, it was just getting worse. And in the end, again, I was coming off school and taking off time off school. Mum said, "Are you getting your, stomach aches and everything like that? And you're not being bullied again?" All them questions were being raised, like, and I went, "No, no, no," and everything like that. Well, what is it then? You know?
Yeah. Tell me what it is.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Right.
I went, and in the end, it just came about that I just said, I don't know how I worded it the other time, but I just said, "I'm having pain down below," you know?
Mhm.
And she said, "Right, okay, let's see how it goes. We'll take you to the doctor, like tomorrow if it's still the same, etc." Next day, it was the same.
Hmm.
So I got referred to my local hospital at the time, and I was put under a doctor after the GP did the referral. It took a while, but
Mhm.
it was that deals with like young adults and everything like that, and so on and so forth. Pediatrician, I think they're called. And he had to do an examination, and he said, "Right, I think we need to refer you for an ultrasound scan." So I went for an ultrasound scan, and he said to me in them exact words after going back to him, because he said that I want to see you later that afternoon for results. He said, "Bearing in mind I was going at about 12 then, Jordan, I think I know what it is. You've got cancer." I went,
Oh.
"Pardon?" And obviously
Oh,
at that age, you know what cancer is, but you always think of worst case scenario.
right.
So first thing that comes to my head, and I said out loud, was, "I'm gonna die. Am I gonna die?"
Right. Sure. Mm.
You know,
Yeah. Just yeah.
and yeah, just all them sort of feelings. And mum was a bit, and they said, "What we advise for pain, and we've got to keep an eye on this and making sure and everything, that you have to wear loose fitting stuff." So I had to wear joggers, like
Right.
trousers to school, as opposed to school trousers.
Hmm.
Um, I had to carry a pillow around with me to school as well,
Really.
because of pain. And it came about that I went back to my GP, and he said, like, mum wasn't happy and everything, because she was thinking, well, is it just to do with the operation I had when I was a lot younger, like. So she wanted a
Right.
second opinion.
Hmm.
So I got referred to a hospital in London. So eventually, after a bit of time again, saw a consultant, and I was still wearing the joggers and everything and taking the pillow around with me. And he said the same thing, "I want you to have an ultrasound." So I had an ultrasound scan, and he come back and he said, "Jordan, I'm telling you now, you do not have cancer." So I had one doctor saying to me, "You have cancer," and then another one saying to me, "You don't have cancer." So again,
Wow.
excuse language, but that fucked my head even more, you know,
Oh yeah. Right. Yeah. What do you
thinking,
believe?
who
Right.
do you believe exactly? And I was like,
Hmm.
Ugh. And obviously it was relief. But he said, "I think I know why your consultant in your local team said what he did, because what you've got is something called microcalcification." So microcalcification can be microlithosis, I think they call it, where it's like specks, and it's like it can be a pre-marker for a future cancer maybe to develop,
Hmm.
but they've got to keep an eye on it just to be
Right.
sure that it doesn't develop that way. So that made a better understanding for us. Obviously, was feeling relief, but I was still in a lot of pain down
Oh
there.
yeah. Hmm.
And yeah, I had to carry a pillow around with me. I had to, still wear for joggers. And obviously, students pick up on that, don't they?
Oh
And they say,
jeez.
"Why you got a pillow? Why you got
Right.
joggers?"
Right.
All them questions. And
Hmm.
again, I couldn't really say then, well, it's a problem with my nuts. It
Right.
was quite a sensitive thing to say then. I was like, But in the end, because the school were aware, as I said, there was much more understanding. So as soon as we told them what has happened and we was forthcoming with that, and when students were coming up, they nipped it in for bud pretty much there and then. So if a student come up and they was being intrusive, well, why you got a pillow? They used to come away straight away in hot pursuit and say, leave Jordan alone. It's his own personal business. He'll tell you if he feels ready, but he doesn't have to. So don't pressure. And if you do, then I'm going to have to exclude you from class for his own personal well-being, like, you know. So they was right on top of it, you know.
Trying to help you a little bit, yeah.
Absolutely.
Give you a little more comfort than just getting picked on.
Exactly. So I thought that made me feel better. But I'll go on to like what I do for in terms of, you know, work and everything. I know I got into that in just a moment. But unfortunately, how it developed, I was being checked yearly, and it was still coming back microcalcifications. It's not developed, but we just got to keep an eye on it. So again, that made us feel relieved, I suppose, that it still was that stage. But I was still getting that pain still, you know.
So was it basically like a bacteria is what you had that was like?
What they say is with that is it can be caused through unhealthy tissue.
Okay.
That's the best understanding that I've got of it for down there. I thought it was a bacteria as well, to be honest with you, Eric, you know. But yeah, it's unhealthy tissue. So right until from the age of, so 12 to 18, I was monitored every year. But then come 18, I got discharged from the child team and then put onto the adult team. But then there was a bit of a fuck up, if you like, with the healthcare system that I was meant to be put under someone. I wasn't, and then I was discharged from their service for whatever reason. So we had to fight for that, and eventually got back on their books. And it only came about that it was age 21, so this is going back 6 years ago now, where I was getting pain down below, but because it was starting to get a bit easier, but I was getting intensifying pain again. And I noticed that there was swelling down there. So I went to my doctor and I said, right, I'm noticing more situations down here that's not normal. I might need an ultrasound. Can you arrange that for me locally as opposed to going to London or whatever, please? Yeah, we can do that. Okay. So it inadvertently worked. After that appointment with the GP, I come out of that. The following day, I got a phone call from London saying, oh, we've seen that we need to have you in for an appointment. There's a cancellation tomorrow. Can you come in and see us, please? So I went into London and I saw a consultant and he did an examination and he said to me, I feel something's wrong, Jordan. Something's not quite right. Can you have an ultrasound? But the only thing is, Jordan, I'll see you again in 6 months' time. So that sort of made me think like, well, you're saying something's not right, but then seeing 6 months.
6 months, yeah.
How does that work out? You know?
Yeah, right. Doesn't sound right.
So that was that, and I thought, come away and everything like that. And like, literally,
what did they do? What did they do to treat it in between when you were having the pain when you're younger to where you are later on? What were they doing to treat it?
What, for calcification?
Yeah, well, they were you going through any kind of medication or a treatment of any type, like a light chemo or nothing?
With the calcification side of things, because it wasn't cancer, because it was a pre-marker for it. All I just wanted to do was observe it every so often, but I was just left in that pain, and all I just said to him was take some paracetamol or whatever, you know, which
wow,
touched it, you know.
That's tough.
So yeah, that was a bit messed up thinking of it as well, really.
I'm just gonna assume that every male that is going to listen to this or watch this are going to be like, wait a minute, this person was this guy was having pain, you know, down below, and they just said, hey, see you in 6 months.
Yeah.
and now, I mean, I'm sorry, I was just thinking like, how do you tell somebody, you know, you need an ultrasound, come back in 6 months?
Yeah, exactly. It was I still can't believe to this day, but I remember on the way home that I was on the train back and I just come over really ill and I can't remember what happened fully, But Mum's explained to me, because she was with me, and she went, what happened was I just passed out on the train. I just blacked out.
Oh.
And literally people were around me trying to, they didn't know if it was a heart attack or anything like that. So they was getting all panicky, and it was right on rush hour as well, like peak traveling time as well when it happened. And yeah, I don't know what happened, but then in the end, I think from what Mum said, I was dragged out, and then I was took onto the platform, and I sort of come to a bit more, but I still was in a real confused state, like,
Yeah. I bet.
So I gone home that day with Mum assisting me, and the following day I got a phone call from my local hospital, from what the GP was going to refer me to anyway. Oh, we can fit you in for an ultrasound in a few days' time. Are you able to come to that? So I thought, oh well, that beats London. Yeah, all right then, might as well. So I took it, and I remember I thought it was a 12:30 appointment. Sorry, 2:30 appointment. And I arrived late, if you like. And with the NHS here over in the UK, they're very hot on timings. So if you're late, they most likely won't see you because of the strain and everything like that on for patients and who they need to get through. But I turned up late, and I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm late." And they said, "No, it's fine. You still can be seen." I was like, "Oh, okay, thank God for that." So I went in for the scan, and the person that does the scans, the sonographer, and he said like that, clicked his fingers, bingo. Pardon? I think I found your problem, Jordan. Oh, what's that? He said, it's a tumour.
Oh, no.
So I was like, are you sure on that? Because that's what I was holding for past, like, obviously, all them thoughts going through my head. I said, are you sure? How sure are you? And he went, I'm 95% sure it's a tumour, Jordan. And he sat, so I said, so does that mean cancer? And he went, well, yeah, like that, And I went, shit.
Right.
And then again, them sort of things were whirring through my head. Am I going to survive? How's the process?
Yeah, it was there the whole time. It was probably there the whole time, and they just misdiagnosed it.
Yeah. So it was like, I don't know, but okay. So I said, you want me to have an operation? He said, well, we'd have to remove a tumour. We'll also have to remove a testicle. And the NHS guidelines over here is that for health service, that you've got to have that operation, or any suspected cancer's got to be treated within 2 weeks. That's the pathway. And I said, oh, right, okay. But he said, you will be phoned probably in the next week, in all fairness, because we need to get you in as soon as, and because of your age and everything like that, and so on and so forth. So I said, oh, okay. So I'd gone out, and my granddad was in the waiting room, and I just froze. He said, is everything all right? And I went, yeah, I think so. Like, in denial and everything. He said, no, what's up? You was in there a while. And then the sonographer who was doing the scan came out, and he said to my granddad, I want you to go in and have a chat with me. It's quite important. So yeah, he'd gone in, and my granddad came out, and he went, no, it can't be. It can't be. They would have picked anything up by now. You've been fine all these years, and checks, and they've been heavy. So, and you had that when you was like 12, surely not. Like, all in denial, like I was, I suppose. And I went, I think he's fairly sure. And he come back out again for sonographer. I said, how likely did you say it was again? And he said to my granddad, 95% sure that it is. So it hit home somewhat. And I remember I'd coming home, and my mum was at work on the day, and my nan went, where you been? Been worried? All that, protective grandparents, and where you been? All worried. And I said, Nan, you got to sit down. Why? What's up? Got to sit down then. Told her. She said, no, it can't be. It can't be. I went, it is. So anyway, to cut a long story short, that night it was really weird because I was doing soccer training then for a team that I was coaching. And I said to my first thing I said to my mum when she walked in, I said, I forgot all about that with Juma. I said, I want to go soccer training tonight. You know, I just want to focus on something else. And she went, You can't do that. You know, you can't do that. I want to go, Mum, I need to, you know, my mind needs to go elsewhere.
Right.
And she said, Oh, all right, then if you have to, like that, you know. So I was like,
exactly. Something positive instead of so much negative.
Yeah.
So I went to training that night, and gents, it was such a weird day. I literally turned up to training, made sure the lads were doing their warm up. As soon as the warm up started, it was like a blizzard of snow that started coming down by the droves. And I thought, and I said to myself, I went, what the fuck is this day? Like, you know, this is some, you know, it really messed my head. Like, you know, I thought it was like some sort of you see in a movie or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, boys did their training and that, and then I come home, and yeah, within a space of the next day, my doctor GP phoned me and he said about being told by the hospital, and after that, I was in pain too much really, and it came to the situation that I had to go in on for Saturday, and by the Monday morning, first thing Monday morning, they operated.
Wow, that was quick.
So they was very quick with it. They removed the tumour, confirmed it was a tumour, had to remove the testicle, unfortunately. But
That's a bummer.
It was a real bummer. And on top of that, excuse me, I was lucky because from when they did the scan to when they did the op, which wasn't very long, as you know, it grew double in size.
Holy shit.
Wow.
So I was very fortunate. I didn't need chemotherapy, thankfully, because they caught it early enough.
They got it out, yeah.
But it was a real roller coaster, you know.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
And all these years later, I still think, oh, what if this and what if that?
Yeah, if you didn't do nothing about it or just kept living the way it was, you know.
I may be wrong, but I think I counted 5 or 6 ultrasounds that you had, and the one doctor finally caught it. Like Eric said, who knows if they didn't catch it, what would have happened?
Yeah, I think that's it, and that's a message to anyone, as open as it is. Get your balls checked, you know.
Right? Yeah. I'm wondering if, like, when they were checking you before, if it wasn't in the quite right position, just the angle. I mean, it's possible.
As you say that, Eric, that though it's growing in size, it was actually, even though it was shown on the scan, it was growing inside the testicle out.
Right.
So even if I was trying to examine myself, which they encouraged me from a young age, I wouldn't have been able to have felt it.
Yep.
Wow. Exactly. I mean, this is a and I'm not making a joke, but I just know that everybody who's going to watch and listen to this are going to think twice, because I'm already thinking, because I turn 50 next month, so I'm already thinking, hey, if I feel some discomfort, I probably should not take it lightly, and I'm not, I'm just being
right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, it's about being open, gents, and there is guides on there to how to examine with for testicle and stuff like that. There is guides on there to help online. So Jeff, I will send them over to you if you want to attach them in any way, if you can.
Okay.
But it's
sure.
Don't be. That's another thing. It's what I said to someone else elsewhere. Us as men, we're very proud, I suppose. But we've got to leave our pride behind,
Yeah.
If that means just to put your mind at ease if you need to go and see a doctor, even just to be sure,
Right.
it might mean obviously by large cases there's nothing there, but it's just that reassurance, you know.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Just before I comment on that part, you are, I'm going to assume, 100% cancer free.
Yep, in full remission now, mate.
Awesome.
Awesome.
That's great.
Thank you, gents.
The one comment I'm going to say is, again, I don't want to take away any importance of your message and your raising awareness, but as Eric knows, this show and the people involved in it, we help people take the next step. They come forward to talk, to share things. And even though I'm going to turn 50, listening to you, that makes me want to be more aware of, is it really just a pain or something that, or, so I just want to say thank you before we continue for bringing this awareness, because up until your story, who would have thought it could have been anything? And listening to your story, how you had ultrasound after ultrasound, and this person said no, this person said yes, and then it grew within a matter of days or weeks, right? It doubled its size.
Doubled in size, correct? Yeah.
I just yeah. Thank you for bringing this to attention.
No problem at all. And
Yeah,
I think
they, when you were going through it, did they like give you an idea? Like, did they do the surgery so quickly because it would have basically, you would have died from it? Is that why it was such urgent, or but they were more worried about it growing more and more?
I think it was in terms of growing more and more, yes.
Okay.
But also I think it would, for cancer, would have spread elsewhere in the body. So it would have gone like, it'd have been like a different stage of cancer, and then I probably would have needed for chemotherapy,
Gotcha.
etc.
Mhm.
But if I'm going to be totally honest, gents, I mean, if we're talking absolutely transparent here, people at DIFIOP was great, but when I had the oncologist, which is a cancer doctor, if you like, that you be put on
Mhm.
under after, I'm going to be honest, they were shit. They really was, because there was one time that this was going back 18 months after surgery, and I was again, that's another thing that I should say is a symptom that I had, ironically, at the time of cancer. I was having chest pain, and I had this, like, I had a dry cough as well.
Mhm.
So all them different symptoms were factoring into the cancer checklist, if you like.
Mhm.
But it came to one time where, well, two times. So one time I had this chest pain after the operation. I was thinking, oh God, I need to be a bit aware of this. But I got labelled it as anxiety to start with, which it wasn't anxiety. And then it got to a stage where my cancer doctor, the oncologist, went to me, well, you must have bumped yourself into a door or something, because you're known to have dyspraxia and you can be clumsy. And I went, I beg your pardon?
Okay.
And she went, well, did you bump into a door? I said, well, I'd have bloody known if I bumped into a door. You know what I mean? It's like, so it got to a stage where my GP thought outside the box again, and my doctor, like my GP, general practitioner, and he went, I'm thinking outside the box here. I'm going to refer you to this team and see if they have an opinion. So I was referred to that team, and they said, we need you to have a scan and come back and see us after that scan whenever we've got the appointment available again. So I went back after that scan, and it was found from that scan I had quite a few rib fractures, if you like, from for coughing and everything like that, from for cancer.
Okay.
And she said to me, that is where your bones are fragile because of the cancer that you have. It makes you feel vulnerable, everything like that. So I was like, got an answer. So I went back to my cancer doctor about it, and I said, oh, it's found with rib fractures, and they could see that on their system because it's the same hospital. And they went, well, who told you that? And I went, well, you can see who maybe found that out, but I'm not going to tell you. You was the one that said to me I must have bumped into a door. you know.
Wow. Right.
So that was one time, and the second time I was going through a time where I had bald patches in my beard, so like alopecia, and it was like it wasn't very pleasant for my body image, if you like, because obviously losing hair in my beard. I was even going to hairdressers at times, and clumps of hair was falling out every time I was cutting my hair. And again, it was making me feel not at ease with myself. And I spoke to a consultant at the hospital about it, and they went, "Well, it's because you had chemotherapy, wasn't it?" And I went, "I didn't have chemotherapy." "Yes, you did have chemotherapy." "No, I didn't." "Yes, you did." I said, "I bloody well would have known if I had chemotherapy."
Right.
And
Jesus.
she said, "But like, well,
Well, did they put you on like any kind of medication that could have been doing it, like a chemo? They do have chemo where it's like a pill form
yeah, that's very true." But they didn't. That's the
that
thing
would
there.
cause it.
Yeah,
They didn't.
they didn't, in all fairness. And
You
she said,
didn't.
"Well, it's in your notes." But this is the ironic thing, right? It's
Oh,
it's not funny really, but it's
no, it's not.
funny bad in the sense of here where she'd gone away after seeing me, and she come back to me and she said, "I'm so sorry, Jordan. That was wrong patient."
Oh my
What? A wrong patient.
God.
Wrong patient. It was a patient that was next to me.
Holy cow.
Um.
Yikes.
So
I.
they just didn't read their notes.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Exactly.
Jesus. I was
Yeah,
just making. I was just making some notes here. And I think we're going to go over part 2. So I'm just going to take a quick commercial break. I'm going to come right back. Hold on. Okay, and we're back recording. One, I just want to again say, Jordan, the courage and the strength to. I mean, you had said it earlier. We're all proud, and I don't know if I would want to talk about if I had anything wrong down below. I mean, I think it's a guy thing. And here you are, you're telling the most intimate stories and things that have happened to you. So I just want to congratulate you for making something like this that obviously I've never ever talked about it a day in my life. And I was making some notes here, and I don't want to take away the importance of your bringing awareness and the courage that you have, because it does take a lot of courage to talk about this. After your initial surgery, and if it's too private, I respect it. And you were home and you were recovering, and you felt like a pain or whatever. Did anything go through your mind like, oh no, not again? Or did you not have any pain or any symptoms?
After FIOP, I didn't feel much pain. No, that subsided somewhat. It was just, I think, with that issue with my chest pain and everything like that. But then I didn't know that was part and parcel of the journey, if you like. And again, for rib fractures, may have been there for a while, for all we know, you know.
Right.
But it just wasn't picked up. But I think this is it, Jeff. Yeah, I wasn't in much pain after that, thankfully. But this is it. There has been times where I've had pain in the left testicle, my remaining testes. Now, this is where again it's bringing awareness again, because I was told twice that they thought it was a suspected torsion where there's a rupture within the testicle, which damages like the blood flow. I had that examined and like under, if you like, theatre and surgery again to make sure that that wasn't the case. But for second time, again, they did it, but they knew that I had that operation done first time to check it. But they labelled it again, the doctors labelled it and said it wasn't in my notes, so they had to do it again.
Jesus Christ.
Now,
Yeah.
with
Right.
that in mind, something as basic as that should have, to check for notes properly, what has been done, what hasn't been done. I was always told on both times, if I don't have that operation done, again, the blame was put on me. If you don't have this done just to check it isn't torsion, then it's your fault pretty much that you've not had it checked out.
Right.
And like that made me feel like shit again, really, because I was thinking, well, I don't really want to go under more operations than is absolutely necessary, like, you know.
Right.
I mean, another thing that I was put under during the cancer time, which was scary in itself, and again, we're talking openly here as men, but I was I wasn't offered a prosthetic by my hospital at the time to have like a false testicle, which would have made me feel better about my own self-esteem at the time. And another thing that was rejected for me at the time was that I wasn't allowed to, I didn't meet the criteria, in inverted commas, to have any sperm stored in case of fertility and stuff like that, to have a family in the future. They said I didn't meet the criteria. And my GP, my doctor went, well, how did you not meet the criteria when you've just had cancer? You know?
Right.
Right.
So
Yes.
I think all these different factors come into it. And unfortunately, again, this is quite a fresh thing, really, which I'm trying not to get too emotional about it. But because of that second operation that I had with the suspected torsion, it's now come back that I found out last year that my hormones have dipped tremendously. And after a lot of to and fro and with different opinions, it's now come to the conclusion that because my body's in a restful state as such now, my hormones are dipped, but that has meant that my remaining testes is not functioning now. So in their words, I'm infertile, and it's probably down to that second operation that I should never have had done. So it sort of frightens you. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm lucky because eventually London, in that framework, have allowed me to have some sperm stored, you know, which they did help with that on that side of things for me, because my local, again, wouldn't entertain that idea. But if I didn't have that stored by London, excuse my language again, gents, but I'd be fucked.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yep.
So there's so many things here as guidelines, as framework, that you think, what is the issue? Because there was times that I was told, well, you can't even have counselling about this because you're not in an active relationship. And that's what I really needed at the time, you know, to get my head around everything that's happened, you know?
Right. You just want to be normal.
Exactly.
Yeah. You're not asking for, you know, anything special, just to be normal.
I think it's just as well accepting what's happened, like, as well, like, you know.
Sure. I mean, at least you're alive and, you know, you're functioning, but there's not, you know, not everything is functioning, you know, normal. That's the hard part. That's the
Yeah, I think this is it, is I've got to adjust, I've got to accept. I've got to see another consultant in a month's time to see if there is any sort of treatment that they can offer me. But the thing is again, I don't really want to have too much treatment again, because I just feel like, oh, here we go again, being at another hospital again, going through all for rigmarole, whatever again. I just feel drained, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is, and I'm no expert at medical stuff, but really do your research, and you know, so maybe you can learn from when you went through it the first time. You know, you went to several different places, and maybe this time, if you go to somebody that's, you know, do some research, talk to people, you know, try to, you know, get the best person out there to help you, so you don't get the big runaround and have to go through it a half dozen times, you know, and be misdiagnosed and all that. You know, because that is a really critical part of your body to make sure it's done right, because you know that could cause some major issues with other things too. You know.
No, absolutely, that, mate. Yeah, not wrong. And yeah, so I think I will do that. It's just getting in the right headspace first, you know.
Yeah, right. I mean, you know, or try to get involved with somebody. I mean, they've got to be nowadays. They've got to be somebody out there that has the condition that you have somewhere, and maybe this podcast could help you.
100%.
You know, you never know.
I'm sure of it. And you know, one of the things that our team will do is when it gets uploaded, we'll make sure that we tag, wherever, usually it's New York State or whatever, but we'll make sure that in the entire UK is made aware of this. I just like to make two comments. No, trust me, you're raising awareness for me and Eric, and so listening to your story, the two things that I was making notes about was, one, you have an incredible positive attitude. I have not once heard you say, woe is me or why me. I think what you're doing is taking every obstacle thrown at you, you're learning about it, and then you just achieve and go on to the next thing. And that is extremely commendable, and I applaud you on that. Obviously, you shared your entire story about from age 3 to all the way up to 27, and you have so much more life ahead of you. You have 60 years ahead of you or more, and you've already been through a lifetime of disaster. But your positive outlook, that's very important and very impressive.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, I say the same thing.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that.
No, you're a testament to your own self, to your own strength, to your own courage. And the other thing that I was writing down earlier was, the one doctor said he's 95% sure, and then the other doctor was like, no, you don't have anything, you don't have cancer.
Right.
I just know that if it was me, and I probably would have listened to the doctor who said no, because it's easier to not deal with it and then go about on with your life. So you're raising more than awareness just by your story alone. And I want to thank you for that. And I am completely just like impressed with you as an individual that just is never going to give up, ever give up.
Thank you. Don't get me wrong, gents. There is times that I feel like,
I'm sure.
Some days there's going to be like, I feel like, oh, what's got today going to throw me? But then on the other hand, I just think like, oh, again, solid life, take it each day as it comes.
Right. I just had a question of the whole personal side of your life. Is, do you have a spouse or a wife, or are you
No.
Okay, I didn't.
Yeah, I'm single at the moment, but to be fair, I've been sort of. I was always, I suppose, when I was younger, before all this health stuff, I was always afraid to mingle, I suppose, anyway. But then I suppose when it comes to this sort of situation, it makes it a bit harder, and that's what I've opened up to my doctor even recently. I said, look, when I get into a relationship,
it could be harder, but it could be. The reason I asked the question was just sometimes that person can help you get through it. It's somebody to talk with and somebody that would understand your situation. And if it's a goal that, like you said earlier, you like to have a family, obviously you have to have that stuff to have a family. But, if somebody's there and loves you that much, there's other ways of having a family, there's a lot of different avenues, but that's why I asked the question.
That's very true. I think this is it, to be honest, Eric.
That would make you feel alone so much, being you're going through by yourself. You'd have somebody by your side to,
Yeah, I think that's it. You've hit the nail on the head there. I think it's just, it's with a relationship, I suppose, I feel that, don't get me wrong, I've always been a bit insecure in my past, I suppose, maybe, and I've opened up this about in therapy before, and they've put it down to, well, it's because my dad left at an early age. There was someone so pivotal in my life, you could argue, that is making you feel that everyone or any partner or any relationship, your brain's sort of accustomed to that sort of feeling. which was an interesting take. It was hard hitting, I suppose, when the therapist said that to me. But after having a bit of time to digest what they've really said, it sort of hit home a bit. And I thought, maybe. But then not everyone's going to be like that. I mean, though my dad left at an early age, he knows about cancer, but he wasn't there during the cancer operation, if you like. There's other milestones in my life that I'd like to think that I've achieved, but he's not been there. There has been times that he has been there, don't get me wrong, but there's been a lot of times that he hasn't. So it's like, even if it was a relation, exclude the relationship side of things at the minute, but even if it was to talk about this sort of thing, about a relationship with a woman, or or a family or whatever, you need someone like that to talk to, if you like. And I don't feel that I had that opportunity with my dad, even though he knows what has happened. But he's just not a very communicative person, really,
Oh, I mean, I definitely, I mean, obviously, I cannot relate, but I definitely understand. It's not, I mean, I'm not trying to make a joke, but it's like really hard to have a conversation starter like that. And so, yeah, I absolutely get what you're saying. But you've overcome everything in your life, and maybe one day when you're on the train or whatever, you'll sit next to somebody and you'll just strike up a conversation, and you'll have this beautiful life that you've always dreamed of.
That's very true. That's what makes life so wonderful and magic.
Maybe somebody will see you on our podcast. You just never know.
Absolutely. And
absolutely.
You made, even though we're thousands and thousands of miles apart, you made two friends with me and Eric. So
absolutely.
You can always feel free to reach out to us as well. So
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep.
So I know I've kept you on for over an hour and 20 minutes now. I lied to you. I said about 45 minutes, but your story was just so incredible. I did not want to cut you off, but I also know that I have to cut this short pretty soon. But I want to open, if Eric had one more question, if he did.
Nope, I'm good.
So Jordan, I'm just going to open the show to you just to let you say the final word before we end.
Yeah, no problem at all. So, I'm still learning this word for word, gent, so apologies. But it's what I like to share, and I was speaking to Teresa Aker about this actually not long ago as well. So when I do soccer coaching, which I'm sure we'll talk about at another point, but I always say to any lad that I work with that I feel that it's my job and duty to make the best version of themselves every single day. So that's my motto that I go by. But also, this is advice that I've shared with Teresa and I'll share with you guys, is that my advice to you is to make the most of every single living day. Be bold enough to take risks. If you have a career you want to pursue, go for it. You never know what could come from it. Learn from other people. Create your own story and your own chapters. Don't let others dictate what you should and shouldn't do. Do things that bring the best version out of you. Life is not a race, but equally do not stall and wait for things to come on the plate. Work hard for it. Meet new people. Make the most of every single second and love those close to you. It's important we go for everything that we want in life, and it's one life to live. So let's make our dreams and aspirations and hopes come true. And as I've heard from somewhere, no one can tell you what a successful life is. No one can tell you what a great life is. No one can tell you how to be happy. No one can tell you, because you are unique, what is successful. One may not be success for you. What is a great life for another may not be so great for you. Life is for living. And I don't know if you've seen it on Netflix, gents, with Ricky Gervais on the Afterlife series, but life is precious because you can't watch it again, as he says. But once you realise you're not going to be around forever, that's what makes life so magical. One day you'll eat your last meal, smell for flower for the last time, hug your friend for the last time. You may not know it's the last time. Don't worry about your past. Just worry about your future and your present. because you're not around forever, and that's why you should do everything you love with passion.
Awesome.
That's
great.
when you watch this, you'll see me smiling. I'm not laughing at you. I got lost in your words. That is
All right. Yeah.
that was amazing and powerful. And if there's nothing else to add, I think that's the perfect way just to end this show. If you're okay with that.
Yes, mate.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am JDUBBS. This is JK'z Rewatchable Hour. As always, with me is Eric. Sorry, I'm still just thinking about what you just said. Jordan, holy crap! And I want to thank our special guest from overseas, from the UK, Mr. Jordan. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for ending the show. That was just powerful.
Awesome.
That is the only word I'm going to use, and I don't want to talk anymore because I don't want to take away the importance of what you just said. So. Thank you for coming on the show. I will stop recording.
Thank you for having me.